Hello everyone. Good morning. I hope I am audible to all of you. Yeah. So first thing, let me tell you that I have shared some assignments with you people in the last session, and yeah, many of you have replied it. I know that initially people, some of them they have solved it, but I also know that many of them they have copied it directly. So yeah, it's up to you actually. It's not like that I cannot understand who has copied and who has not copied the assignment. But yeah, I will leave it to you only if people are mature. So yeah, if you feel that those are very easy assignments, then no problem, right? But if someone is not able to solve those assignments, then I will suggest that you should solve. So I'm not making it as a compulsory for you people, right? Those who want to solve it, because I also understand very well who has copied and who has not copied. Because I am in this kind of a field, right? I'm in this field since last 11, 12 years, right? So yeah, I had that much of experience. Even if I had replied same thing to everyone, but yeah, uh, I know that many people will feel that I'm replying the same, so I'm not going to check the assignments. It's not like that. Actually, I visited many of the links which you have sent, right? So yes, my point is that if you really want to solve it, just solve it, but do not copy it. Okay, I can understand who has copied and who has not. So those who have done it, please submit it once again if you want. You can take as much time as possible for you. Okay. Or otherwise, if you feel, I already told you, if you feel those assignments are really very much easy, ignore it. No problem at all. My point is just that everyone should be able to understand whatever we have actually discussed till this point, right? Whether it's basic Python or package. Now, so if it is the case, then I will not be sharing the assignments for those algorithms like linear regression, differential. If this is going to happen, right? Anyway, I will leave it to you people only. So let's continue with the thing which where we are left in the last session. So in the last session, we were talking about linear regression, right? Linear regression. So we have seen the basic idea behind linear regression. We were talking about the mathematics involved behind linear regression. And today, let's see whether we will be able to complete the implementation of linear regression or not. Let's see one by one. Let's see that how much points will be able to cover here. So as in your syllabus, they have just mentioned linear regression. So they did not mention any other things in detail, right? So maybe we can go according to the syllabus only, right? So here I will tell you what we have discussed till. These are the notes I'll be sharing. Again, those who really want it, you can refer it. Those who are already aware about all these things, they can just ignore it, no problem at all. Because for exam point of view, if you think that this particular thing is not difficult to understand actually, if you talk about exam point of view, but if someone really wants to go and really wants to do something here, right? So really wants to implement something here, so always need to go and you need to try out the things on your own. Okay? So this is the part which we have discussed in the last session. This mathematics is involved behind linear regression. So I will tell you from where we are going to continue. And again, if you feel that recordings are not necessary, then tell me because again, you can see that not many people are going to refer it. So if it is the case, there is no need to upload it and then send it to you people, right? Because converting it and then uploading it also takes much time. So yeah, tell me, just be frank. It's not like that you should refer whatever I am sending to you. It's totally up to you people because there are number of sources definitely which are available. So this point we have discussed in the last session. Have R square and adjusted R square. So the last time those were present, I think they will remember whatever we have discussed. Right? So this was the last point where we left. Now I am going to start from this one. Okay, where we will be discussing about like how to interpret the model, how to do the prediction in the model, plotting the least square line, right, and model confidence and all those things, and hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing, yes, it can be a part of this first point itself. Here we can say hypothesis based and inductive bias and evaluation and cross validation. All these points are included in this notes itself. Let's try to complete all of them today. Okay. So for this, one needs to understand what was the data we were talking about initially. So those who are present, I hope they will remember. We were talking about such a data where we were having the fields or the variables like TV, radio, and newspaper and sales, right? So just to remind you about that particular data set, with the help of which we were discussing all those things. So the data set was something like this: amount spent on TV ads in $1,000, amount spent on radio ads in $1,000, and amount spent on newspaper ads. Right. These are the features. And finally, the sales is our target. So, what was our aim? Our aim was to find out how amount spent on TV is going to affect sales, how amount spent on radio is going to affect sales, and how amount spent on newspaper is going to affect sales. In short, we want to find out that suppose if I am trying to start a business, now I want to advertise my business. So should I spend more money only on TV advertisement or only on radio or only on newspaper? Or should I spend more money on C? Should I spend more money on TV only or radio only or newspaper only? Or should I spend more money on TV plus radio, right? Or TV plus newspaper or radio plus newspaper and so on. This is what we need to find out where I will get maximum number of sales. Right? And that's why we are just trying to see this particular simple example, and with the help of which we are trying to see what's going to happen if you consider only one input variable, right? What's going to happen if you consider two input variables or all input variables, right? This is what our purpose is. I hope many people are able to remind the data set itself. So whatever we see till this point, it was some mathematics involved behind linear regression, right? And the concept of linear regression, we have seen what is residual, and all those things I have explained multiple times actually, right? So I hope everyone is going to remember that. By chance, if someone is not able to remember or someone is having any doubt in between, yeah, you can always ask me, no problem. You can even unmute yourself. I have given the access to unmute you, or otherwise you can just send me the message in the chat box. No problem at all. So let's continue from this one. So here you can see that what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a simple list. In this list, there is an item called as TV. I'm just assigning it to this particular variable, features underscore columns. Now what am I doing? Data of feature underscore columns. That means what? Data of TV. I am assigning it to TV, the X variable. That means X is going to be my input. So what am I trying to do? I am just trying to make use of only one feature, that is TV, out of all the features like TV, radio, and newspaper. And my output is going to be what? Data dot sales. Now what is data dot sales? Sales data is our data frame which we imported initially from the Excel file, right? With the help of pandas package. So data dot sales is going to give you what? Sales column. I'm just assigning it to Y variable. So X is the input, Y is output. Input is the amount spent on TV and output is sales generated. Now what am I doing? See, we generally make use of a package called as scikit-learn. So we already talked about different packages like pandas, numpy, matplotlib, seaborn. Similarly, there is a package called as scikit-learn. Scikit-learn is a package where you will find out almost all the methods which we make use of in case of machine learning and data science. Almost all of them they are directly present in this one, scikit-learn. So it's a package available in case of Python, and you can install it with the help of pip install command. I hope everyone remembers pip install command we have seen at the time of learning different packages. So from sklearn.linear underscore model, I am importing linear regression. Now what is this linear regression? What it is going to do? It is going to do the same thing, whatever we have seen in case of theory concept. You don't have to even worry about how it is going to do. You just need to import it. That's the beauty of Python, right? That's why many people try to learn Python or try to make use of Python in all these domains: machine learning, data science, deep learning, computer vision, natural language processing, all those things, or artificial intelligence. I can. So what this particular command is doing, it is just importing linear regression because we want to make use of linear regression packaging. After that, what am I doing? So I am calling linear regression. I am creating an object of linear regression as ln. It is just a variable, right? Even if you do not write down this, no problem. So feed underscore intercept equal to false. And I am saying that do not calculate the value of the intercept. So if you remember equation of straight line of the equation which we have seen for or linear regression was something like this: y is equal to b0 plus b1x, where this b1 is the slope and b0 is the y-intercept. So what am I trying to say is, do not calculate the value of the intercept. That's why what it will do is, so ln is equal to linear regression fit underscore intercept equal to false, and ln dot fit. Ln dot fit is the actual training on the basis of what? X is what? TV, and y is what? Sense. So what's going to happen is, TV is our input column and sales is our output column. So what do we have is one input and one output feature, right? This is our input feature, and obviously output is always going to be one. So one input only we are trying to make use of, or one independent variable and one dependent variable. So this type of equation is going to come under simple linear regression. Okay, it will be simple linear regression because one input and one output. So just to start with, we are trying to make use of only one input. So lm dot fit is going to do what? Lm dot fit is going to do whatever we have seen in case of theory of linear regression. This is the actual training which is going to happen here. Right? So in X we have some data sets, in X we have some records, in Y we have some corresponding records to X. So we are just trying to show our model that if this is the input, this is the output. There are near about, I think, 200 records. So all the 200 records we are trying to pass the input to lm.fit method. So it's like showing some image to a child, so that that child is going to learn from that image. So we are trying to show how many records, we are trying to show 200 number of records. From that our model is should learn. What am I doing is lm dot intercept underscore. So I said that intercept should be false. That's why it has given the value of the intercept as well. And what is this lm dot coefficient underscore? So this is nothing but what I said, that y is equal to b0 plus b1. So the value of this coefficient we have got, that is 0.08. Right? When x is what? Here x is our TV, amount spent on TV. So the coefficient of that one is going to be this one. Okay, 0.08, 0.083. Now what's going to happen is, if that is the coefficient, so type of y, obviously it will be a series. This y output whatever I got, right? It is a series. This one, okay. This is our actual output. What am I doing now? LM is what? LM is the object which we created here. So what am I doing? LM dot predict. I am trying to pass some input to that particular model. See, I am not trying to execute each and everything here, because I will be showing you the execution with some other example, which will be an end-to-end example, where we will be doing everything from the start. This example of TV, radio, and newspaper is and sales is just for understanding some of the concepts, like hypothesis testing, like model confidence. So just to make sense about that, like how to handle categorical values, how to handle a column of categorical values with two categories, three categories, one category, two, and so on, more than two categories. Just to understand those concepts, I am making you this particular example. But at the end, I will be showing you a complete model, to project kind of a thing, with the help of some other example. There will be talking about some what you can say, some other data set in that case. Right. So what am I doing is lm dot predict. Now dot predict again is again a default method available. So it is because of linear regression. What is this? This is the amount spent on TV ads. So if this is the input, what is the output? What is the sales it is generating? So if this is the amount spent on TV ads, the sales generated is this. Right? That is what it is predicting. So this is the prediction value. Sorry, this one is the predicted value for this input, for this TV input, because we have trained the model. How we are trained the model? lm dot fit. As simple as that. Okay, so always remember lm dot fit is the method which is going to help you to train the model. Now how to interpret this model? Now see what we got as the value of the coefficient 0.083. Right. So what do you mean by that? So how do we interpret the coefficient for spent on TV ad, that is beta 1, right? So a unit increase in spends on TV is associated with 0.08. So instead of 0.04, you can take it as this value, 0.083. Okay. So instead of this value, just take this value, 0.08. So a unit increase in spends on TV ad is associated with a unit with a 0.0832491 unit increase in sales. That is the meaning of this particular coefficient. Or an additional $1,000 on TV ads is translated to an increase in sales by $47.53. Now, what do you mean by this $47.53? So again, this was an older value actually. This particular field is talking about. So in our case, it will be $83.24. Okay. So instead of this value, I have told you, see, 47.53 months what this value they are talking about. Multiply by 1000. Or here, if you multiply 1000, you will be getting 83.24. So just consider it as $83.24. That is how you can interpret this particular value. Okay, that's the meaning. So if there is a change in amount spent on TV ads, this much change is going to happen in case of sales. Okay. So an increase in TV ad expenditure is associated with decrease. See, it should be like this. If there is an increase in TV ad expenditure, let's suppose if an increase in TV ad expenditure is associated with a decrease in sales, beta 1 will be negative. But here, what is the value of beta 1 we got? The value of beta 1 we got is this one, and this value is a positive. That means if you go and if you try to spend more money on TV ads, sales is definitely going to increase. That is the meaning of that particular word. Okay. Try to understand. This is a very simple thing we are trying to do here. It is just that we are making the packet. So yeah, those people who are not getting, they can ask actually. I already told you, but I am hoping that obviously people should have been present for previous sessions. I can see 21 people were there, now 19 people are there. So if somebody is facing any difficulty, please let me know. If you know that, if you are already aware about it, please let me know. If I am too fast, please let me know. If I am too slow, please let me know. Okay. So I hope you people are okay. Now 18 people are there. So any doubt, anyone, anything, just let me know. I'll be sharing this particular file. I know that I haven't shared it yet. I'll be sharing this particular file. Those who are interested definitely can go through this. So any doubt, anyone here? This is a simple thing. Here we have used simple Python. I just used input column as TV, output column as cells, and then I used linear regression. I applied linear regression on input and output, and I got the value of beta 0 and beta 1. Beta 0 here I am trying to keep it as 0 forcefully, and beta 1 value I got this one. Now I am just trying to explain you how to interpret that beta 1 value. So the interpretation of that beta value is beta 1 is this one. So that's why I am asking you people, if anyone is doubt, please let me know. Okay, so okay, now people are joining. Okay, people are saying no doubt. Okay, that's good, then no problem. My aim is what? My aim is to show you how to create a project, how to create a model. Right? So just to, so whatever the points we are trying to discuss it here, this is a very simple example we are trying to. With the help of this example, we are just trying to understand how actually to find out the relationship between the input and the output. What happens if you have only one input? What happens if you have two inputs, and so on? Why you should not have only one input? Or why you cannot make use of only simple linear regression? Actually, in real time, what we make use of is multiple linear regression. That's what I am trying to explain here. So now see, whatever we have done till now is with the help of Python. Now prediction using the model. So see, if the expense on TV ad is $50,000, what will be the sales prediction for that market? Now our equation is what? Y is equal to beta 0 to beta 1. So what is the beta 1 value we got? The value of beta 1 we got is this one. Now with the help of this beta 1 value, now you know that if beta 1 is there, you can directly calculate the beta 0 value. You already seen this in theory. So I am just trying to put the value of beta 0 and beta 1. And what is this 50? This is the amount spent on TV ads. So if this is the case, what will be the sales? That is why. So the sales generated will be 9.409444. That means thus we would predict sales. So here I am trying to show you how manually we can calculate it with the help of this particular equation. So 9409 widgets in the market. That will be the sales. Right? Let's do the same thing using the code. Now see, what am I doing? Let's create a data frame. How to create a data frame, that we have seen in case of pandas. What am I doing is pandas.data frame. I am trying to pass a dictionary. This is a key and this is a value. So I am trying to pass 50 values. So if TV is having $50,000 spent, TV ads on TV ads we are spending $50,000. So I am going to predict with the help of my model. LM.predict for x underscore new. What is x underscore new? Is 50. So if that is the case, then this is the amount. This is the sales which is going to be generated. That is according to our model. Right? This much of sales is going to be generated according to our model. If 50 is the amount spent on TV ads. Right? Now plotting the least squares line. So create data frame with minimum and maximum values of T. Now in this case, in our data frame, there was only one row, only one observation, only one value. Now what am I trying to do? I am trying to insert two values. Which are those two values? Minimum value of amount spent on TV ads and maximum value of amount spent on TV ads. Now we have two rows in our data frame, right? So first row is having 0.7, so amount spent on TV is 0.7, that minimum value and maximum value is 296.4. If this is the case, again we are trying to predict. So for minimum amount, the sales generated is this one, and for maximum amount spent on TV ad, the sales generated is this one. Now what do you conclude from this one? It means that if the amount spent on TV ads is increasing, sales is also increasing. See, for minimum it is giving me this much of sales, but for maximum it is giving me this much of sales. Why am I trying to talk about minimum and maximum here, or how I came to know that this is for minimum and this is for maximum? Because see, x underscore new. In x underscore new, what do we have? First value is for minimum amount spent on TV ads. Second value is for maximum amount spent on TV ads. Right? That's why I'm trying to talk about. So you can clearly see that if the amount spent on TV ads is increasing, sales is also increasing. The amount spent, minimum amount spent on TV ads is this. So for that, the sales is this. Maximum amount spent on TV ads is this. So sales is also increased. So that means we can directly tell here that if the amount spent on TV ad is increasing, sales is also increasing. Okay, and the same thing now we are trying to find out with the help of a plot. So here I am trying to plot a scatter plot. We already seen again in case of Seaborn and Matplotlib, we already seen the plot. So I am trying to plot a scatter plot between TV and sales. Now it is giving me what? It is giving me scatter plot. That is this particular line it is giving me. This one. Sorry, all these points it is giving, not line, all these points. We can check that this is somewhat linear fashion, in linear fashion. That means if amount spent on TV ads is increasing, sales is also increasing. And I am just trying to plot the least square line or line of business. Right? So x underscore new is the input, predictions is the prediction. Right? Prediction by our model. What is the prediction by our model? This red line. These blue markers are what? It's the original data. What is this red line showing? This red line is showing you the predicted values according to our model. Okay, and obviously then the difference between this distance, it will be called as what? This will be residual or the error. Our target will be what? Our target will be to minimize that error. But yes, obviously we are trying to talk about only one column here, that is TV. But clearly you can see that as the amount spent on TV is increasing, sales is also increasing. That's what we can notice from here. Now, talking about some other things like model confidence. Now, why am I? If you see, if you once you get this note for linear regression, you will notice that almost everything is mentioned in the first algorithm itself. When we will discuss about the algorithms like new Bayes or maybe decision tree or maybe a KNN, whatever it may be, SVM, you will see that these concepts are going to be there. That's what I have done is I'm just trying to explain all the necessary concepts which we are going to require in other algorithms here itself. Because for other algorithms then we will not require much. Okay. So for example, model confidence. That means how much your model is confident about the result, whatever it has predicted. So for example, the question is linear regression a low bias or high variance model or high bias or low variance model? Now first of all, understand what we mean by low bias and high variance. Low bias is, it means what? It means it is not giving a particular kind of a result most of the times. High variance means variety of result it is giving. It is not giving you the same result again, right? So for that there is a very easy diagram actually shown at the in the next session. In the next slide, I think we will try to talk about that bias and variance trade-off, something like that it is given here. So we will try to talk about bias and variance in that case. What's actually a bias and what's actually variance? So some diagram you will be able to see here somewhere. Yeah, this one I'm talking about. So this is see bias and variance. If I try to talk about, we can check that if if this is one type of a result, this is another type of a result, these are another type of results, and these are some other types of results. Okay. Now, if my model is going to predict results within this circle, that means it is low bias. It is biased, but it is low bias and low variance. That means it is not giving me, it is not giving me variety of results like this one or this one or this one. Okay, it is giving me this kind of results only. That's a low variance. What do you mean by high variance? It is giving me this red kind of results, white, again this blue kind of results in this category it is giving me. So that's a high variance, but again it's a low bias. It's low bias. It is not that much biased. Okay, this is high bias and low variance. So high bias is what? It is giving me this category of results only. This first category, this second category, it is giving me only third category of results. Only third category of results. So predictions are like only of third category. That's why it is high biased and low variance. So that means it is not spread. Results are not spread. But here you can see the results are spread, right? So high bias and high variance and high bias is this one. But ideally, what we want is we always want a model which is going to give us low bias and low variance, right? That is the meaning of this particular thing. Okay. Now talking about linear regression model. So linear regression model, always remember it is actually this kind of a model. It's actually a low bias and high variance model. Low bias and high variance model. Okay. So we need to check is linear regression low bias or high variance model or high bias and low variance model. So actually not low bias or high variance. It is linear regression. You know that is going to give us this kind of a result, right? So this is a straight line. It is going to be straight always. So it has been observed that linear regression is actually a high bias and low variance model. So many times it is going to give you similar type of results, high bias and low variance. Okay, this is what is the observation actually. Even after repeated sampling. Now what do you mean by sample? That means we are trying to take small data from the big or complete data. That is going to be sample. For example, from the 100 students, I am trying to conduct a test only for 10 students. And from those 10 students, I am trying, suppose for example, you people submitted the assignments. Right. Now there are 30 people. Now I want to just understand what people are generally doing. So what I have done is I have taken only random 5 assignments. And then I went and then I checked that okay, whether these 5 people are submitting correct assignments or not. Are they copying from someone else, right? Are they making use of someone else's file and they are uploading it onto GitHub? Is it the case? So those 5 people which I have taken, those are the samples from the total population, right? So I'm just trying to talk about the same example, right? For example, you people are 30 people. Now I want to check how many of you have genuinely submitted the assignment. So I cannot go suppose and I cannot check each and everyone's assignment, right? What I will do is I will take random 5 to 6 samples. I have taken 6 random samples. I will check what these 6 people have done. So out of these 6 people, suppose 4 of them they have copied and 2 of them they have done it genuinely. Okay. So obviously I will just come to a conclusion that okay, then there is a maximum possibility that most of them they are just trying to upload some other's IPv4 because they might have thought that okay, sir is just replying that okay, we have it out, right? Same reply is going to be there for everyone. That might be the case, or that there might be another reason you people might be very busy, or you might be doing it already, something like that. There might be anything. But yes, try to understand. In this case, this is going to be the population and this is the sample, right? So I'm just trying to do what? I'm just trying to make some conclusion for the complete population with the help of sample. Why? Because if I go with the sample, it will take less time. Obviously, there might it's not going to be 100% accurate, but yes, definitely it's going to give you some idea. 30 is actually a very small number, right? But it will be in thousands, right? In reality, we will be getting thousands of records. So for thousands of records, if I want to make some conclusion, definitely I can go and I can make a sample. So this sample is a small part of the complete data. Okay. So even after repeated sampling, the best fit line will stay roughly in the same position. So as best fit line is going to stay in the same position, and that's why low variance. That's why low variance. That's why this linear regression is a low variance model. But the average of the models created after repeated sampling won't do a great job in capturing the perfect relationship. That is high bias, right? So low variance is helpful when we don't have less training data. So try to understand it's actually linear regression is actually higher bias and low variance model. For example, if the model has calculated 95% confidence for our model coefficients, it can be interpreted as follows. If the population from which the sample is drawn is sampled 100 times, then appropriately 95 of those confidence intervals shall contain the true coefficients. So what is model confidence actually? You are directly going to get the value of the model confidence with the help of some of the methods. Right, here we will try to see how to calculate. So if the model confidence is 95%, that means your model is 95% confident about the result, whatever it is showing, about the prediction, whatever it is actually trying to show. If the value of the model confidence is 95, or if it is 90, again the same. Okay. So now what am I trying to do is, I am trying to import stats model dot formula dot API as stats model formula. So what it is going to give me is, it is going to give me some result. So I am trying to input this particular formula of sales and TV from the data, and I am trying to do a fit on that. OLS is nothing but what? Stats model formula dot optimal least squares. So optimal least squares is something like accuracy, which is going to help us to understand how our model is actually behave. Now what am I trying to do? LM dot confidence underscore interval. So it is actually talking about confidence interval. How much you are confident about the results, or how much your model is confident about the results. So what's happening is, ignore this particular value actually. Do not consider this value. Try to consider this one. Our input is t. So for 0 it is showing me 0.04, and for 1 it is showing me 0.05. No, what do you mean by this? So we only have a single sample of data and not the entire population of data. Obviously, the true coefficient is either within this interval or it is under, but there is no way actually to know. We estimate the coefficient with the data we do have, and we show uncertainty about the estimate by giving a range, that is that the coefficient is probably within. Now what do you mean by this? See, this is nothing but, let's say 0 and 1, right? 0 and 1 is like, if I am trying to talk about TV ad, TV call, so minimum value and maximum value, let's suppose I want to talk about this one. So for minimum my model is this much confident, for maximum value my model is this much confident. So if you talk about here what we were having in TV, so we were trying to consider only two values, minimum and maximum value. See, minimum value and maximum value. Whatever you are able to see, that is nothing but confidence interval. So that is the confidence interval for minimum value, and for maximum value, this is the confidence interval. Okay. So 95, using a 95% confidence interval is just a convention. Most of the time, we generally go for 95 confidence interval. What it is actually, how to interpret it, that we will see in this one. I think that you people might be aware about confidence interval, right? And even I think you people might be aware about all these things also, as you people are from mathematics and statistics background. So confidence interval is going to come into picture in terms of distributions, right? We have seen standard normal distribution, right? So there we will be talking about this, right? 95% confidence interval is just a convention. What do you mean by 95% confidence interval? It means that whatever the results your model is going to predict, for those results your model is 95% confident. I will try to show it to you. I will take a very simple example. I will explain that particular. So you can create 90% confidence intervals, which will be more narrow. 99% confidence intervals, which will be wider, or whatever the intervals you do. Now, what do you mean by these? That means if you have your data set in normal distribution form, if your data set is having a distribution at something like this, if your data is distributed like this. Now, what it is talking about is, let's say something like this you have. So if you are talking about 95% confidence interval, if I am saying that this particular thing is, let's suppose 0. Okay. Now 95% confidence interval. If I am looking at here 95, that means whatever the values. So under 95% confidence interval, these values are going to be there. Let's suppose. That means for all the inputs which are going to come in this range, +1 and -1, for all those inputs, my model is going to be 95% confident. If you let's suppose want 90% confidence, Let's suppose it is from -2 to +2. So see that the range is wider. That means whatever the values which are going to come in this range from -1 to -2 to +2. For all those values, my model will be 90% confident, and similarly for 99%. So again, this is going to increase. So in that case, the values which are going to come in this range, for all the values, your model will be 99% confident. Right? How to decide that? That we will actually discuss. It all depends on the data set. Okay. So here we'll first of all understand what is this hypothesis testing, and then we will try to relate this particular part there in hypothesis testing. Now, what is hypothesis testing? It's theoretical concept, I guess. Or maybe in mathematics you might have come across hypothesis, where we assume something and we try to come up with just the with what you can say with just the opposite of the hypothesis, right? Whatever we assume. So we assume something, and while we try to prove that whatever we assume, we got something else or just opposite of that we got. That, and then we try to prove whatever we wanted to prove. So I think you might have solved this kind of problems in mathematics, maybe in schools or maybe in your colleges or maybe in your graduation also. Let's see, for this I will explain it to you what is hypothesis testing actually or how to make it. See, hypothesis testing is closely related to confidence interval. That's what I was trying to talk about. It is closely related to confidence interval. So we start with a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is generally represented as H0 and an alternate hypothesis which is represented as H1. That is opposite to the null. Then we check whether the data rejects the null hypothesis or fails to reject the null hypothesis. Now, failing to reject the null hypothesis does not mean accepting the null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis might indeed be true, but that we don't have enough data to prove that. Now, what are these things? What is the meaning of all these things? I will explain it with the help of simple example, even if you haven't understood anything from this one. Not. The conventional hypothesis test is as follows. Null hypothesis. So, what is our null hypothesis here? Our null hypothesis is that no relationship exists between TV advertisements and sales. So, we are assuming that there is no relationship between amount spent on TV advertisements and sales. If there is no relationship, that means obviously beta 1 is equal to 0. Now, why am I saying that beta 1 is equal to 0? Because you are very much aware about this particular equation, y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x. What is this x? Amount spent on TV. So if we are assuming that there is no relationship existing between TV ads and sales, obviously TV ad, that means this is going to be 0. That means it is going to be 0. This beta 1 is going to be 0, obviously, if there is no relationship, right? So our null hypothesis is that it is 0, and obviously we have seen that alternative hypothesis is what? It is just the opposite of null hypothesis. That means there exists a relationship between TV advertisements and sales. That means beta 1 is not equal to 0. Right? How do we test this? So we reject the null hypothesis if 95% confidence interval does not include 0. The p-value represents the probability of the coefficient actually being. You might not have understood this and this particular line, right? Let me give a simple example. See, first of all, let's see what is hypothesis testing and how do we make use of that in real life. So this is the part where people like you can contribute more in a data science team, in a machine learning team, or maybe in industry projects. Right? This is for what they will recruit you for this particular part specifically. The people who are having the background like mathematics or statistics. Right? So I am trying to talk about something like hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is like what here we will try to just check. Here we will try to just check whether we have enough evidence to prove whatever we are saying. Right. Let's suppose my initial, what you can say, assumption is that null hypothesis, I call it as, okay. We call it as null hypothesis. Okay. So, and yeah, exam point of view, there will be some questions based on this one. Okay, so just try to understand this. So let's suppose my null hypothesis I am assuming, or the first thing which I am assuming is that H0 I will call it as. It is called as null hypothesis. So I am saying that mu is equal to 0. Mu is nothing but what? Mu is nothing but the average of population, average of the complete data is 100. So obviously, if that is the null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis is what? Alternative hypothesis, that is H1, is going to be exactly opposite of null hypothesis. So it that means I will assume that mu is not equal to 100 because alternative hypothesis is always opposite of null hypothesis. Now there might be a question in someone's mind that why I did not write it down like this. Mu is, let's suppose, if I am saying mu equal to 0, so mu is not equal to 0. I could have written it like this. Maybe like suppose what we can say is mu is greater than 100 or maybe mu is less than 100. I could have written it like this also. Yes, you can write it down like that, right? But again, this is also the same thing. What difference is going to be there because of this one? I will discuss. I will just discuss this in this particular example itself. Okay. Just for now, you can just forget about this particular part. So my null hypothesis is that mu is equal to 0. Average of the population is 0. And obviously the alternate hypothesis is just the opposite of null hypothesis, that is mu is not equal. So what are the steps of hypothesis testing? The first step of hypothesis testing says that you need to state null hypothesis. Okay, state null hypothesis, that is H0, and alternative hypothesis, that is H1. So yes, this is what I have done in the first step. Second step of hypothesis testing says that you need to choose something called as level of significance. Now I do not know. It might be possible that you might have, many of you might be knowing about this one, level of significance. If not, I will tell you. So second step in case of hypothesis testing says that you need to choose level of significance. Now what is level of significance? Level of significance is just the area. For example, see, I told you, right? I told you that in case of machine learning algorithm, the basic requirement is that your data should be normally distributed. That means your data should be distribution. It should be normally distributed. That means it should have a bell-shaped curve, right? Now, if I am talking about bell-shaped curve like this, right? So, what is this level of significance? So, so many times, what will happen is if your data is not normally distributed, or if there is some skewness, how do we denote that skewness? So, we are going to highlight the area here. Let's suppose there is some skewness within our data. So what is level of significance? Level of significance is just an area in these tails. These are called as tails. This is the left tail. Okay, this is the left tail and this is the right tail. I will write it on like this. This is right tail. Okay, and this is left tail. So in simple words, level of significance is just an area in these tails, which is actually highlighted or shaded. And level of significance is generally represented as alpha. Alpha. Okay. Now, why to worry about level of significance? So, see, what's going to happen is if I'm saying that my model is having this, my data is distributed like this. So here we need to decide about value of the level of significance. So it all depends on data set. Now, if I am saying that I want to create such a model which is going to give me some results, but that model is going to be, let's suppose, that model is going to be 95% confident about the results. So this 95% value is going to depend on the value of level of significance, which we denote with alpha. So let's say if I have a 95% confidence interval, so my alpha value should be 0.05. How I came to know that alpha should be 0.05? Because I want 95% confidence interval. 95% means what? 0.95. So if you just subtract it from 100%, 1, what are you going to get is 0.05. Right? Am I right? Let me know if just correct me if I am wrong. So this 0.05 is nothing but alpha. That is level of significance. So in our case, the alpha value is 0.05. So what did I say? Alpha value is nothing but the area which is shaded here. Now if I am saying that this alpha value is 0.05, that means I am talking about this shaded region. It means that this is 0.025 and this is 0.025. Right? Because alpha is 0.05. I hope everyone is able to understand the meaning of this particular thing. Right? Because this alpha is responsible for this one. Okay, and using alpha as 0.05 is very common. Let's suppose someone wants a model and he wants that that model should be 99% confident about what the model is going to show. In that case, what's going to happen? 1 minus 0.99. So in this case, the value of alpha is going to become 0.01. If you are 90%, 0.1, right? And so on. So our level of significance we have decided here as 0.05. Okay. Now in this case, obviously, we have same diagram. So we have tails here. We have some skewness items. Okay, so I hope in this alpha it is clear to everyone. Third step, in case of hypothesis system, what it says is you need to find out critical values. You need to find out critical values. Now, what do you mean by critical values? So I mean to say the values of t or z. Now, what is this t or z? So t or z value you are going to get from something called as t table or z table. Now, which one to use? T table or Z table? I don't know whether you people are aware about it or not. If I want to show you how T table looks like, you can go here and you can just Google. It's like a log table, right? You might use log table also. You might be knowing how to make a log table. So see, T table is there. So see, this is called as T table. This is a T table. This one. Similarly, there is Z table. How to make use of that? That I will tell you. When to make use of Z table and when to make use of T table, that also I will talk about. Z table and T table. Okay, let me, and obviously it is for normal distribution. Let me open this particular one. Now, whatever I am able to see, this is called as Z table. Okay, so we need to find out the critical value, that is the value of T or value of Z. Now, how to find out that? So here, critical values. What do we want is we want 95% confidence interval. Our alpha is 0.05, but we want 90. That means we want 95% confidence interval. So I will just go and I will just try to search for what is the Z value for 95% confidence interval. Okay. So see, what I am trying to do is Z value for 95% confidence interval. Now Z value for 95% confidence interval is this one. If you want to make use of a Z table and then find it out, here also you can find it. So with the help of this particular table. 1.96. Sorry, what was that? 1.96. The Z value for 95% confidence interval is 1.96. If I am going to look out for the same value, which must be, so this is, okay. See, here it is given confidence intervals and their Z score. For 95% confidence interval, Z value is 1.96. How we got that? We got it from Z table. Later on you can check it out how to find out the value from the table list. But in but see, here you can check it. 1.96 is the value of the Z if I am looking out for 95% confidence interval. Okay. That means what I got is I got Z value as 95%. I got Z value as 1.96. Am I audible, all of you? Can you please reply?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
My machine is stuck. Just a minute. Just a minute, all of you. I'm not able to move the, I'm not able to, when I'm trying to press Alt tab, it is not switching the window. It is stuck. I'm not able to even mute myself. The cursor is not moving. Just a minute, let me restart everything. Oh. Am I still audible, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give me 2-3 minutes. I will restart this and don't leave. Okay? Just give me some time. I will just directly shut down the fan once again. Just be there, all of you.